Hi, I'm Jeff Thompson of Motorcycle Riding Concepts, and I'm going to teach you how to ride a motorcycle today. Before we get started, there's an important thing that you need to do every day and every week or so, is to check your motorcycle out. We've talked already about safety gear and the type of motorcycles that are out there. Let's talk about how to check your bike to make it safe before you ride. As you step out of your kitchen into your garage and you're approaching your motorcycle, getting ready for your ride or whatever it may be, what you should check on as you approach your bike is to check and see if there's any fluid underneath it. One of the most important things that you should check every day is the oil level in your bike. And we'll go over that here in a second. But as you go to do your safety checks, in your mind, do a little routine that you should do every day. We call it around the world. Start at one point of the bike, walk around the bike, and just check it out as you go. Start at one point in the motorcycle and end up back at that point. Today we're going to start at the rear of the motorcycle and work our way forwards. Take a look at the rear tire. Make sure that it's okay, that there's no nails in it, that it's not dry rotted near the rim here, and that the tire pressure is where it should be. There's nothing more important that you should check once a week is the tire pressure. Especially in the spring and fall when the tire temperature, or the ambient temperature goes up and down, the tire pressure could change up to 2 and 3 pounds a week. So that's something you're going to need to check with a tire gauge. Very simple. Go down to the gas station, put a little air in it if you need to. But walk forward. Check your belt on the back of the bike. This particular motorcycle has a drive belt. There are 3 different ways you can propel your motorcycle. There's a belt, a chain, and a drive shaft like would be in a car. This particular motorcycle, once again, is an entry-level style motorcycle. It is propelled with a belt. Check your belt. Make sure that there's no cracks, that it's not split, that it's the right tension. And by doing that, just take your finger down here and thump that belt to make sure that it's the right tension. These things are fairly easy to maintain, and you should check it once a week to make sure that that tension is where it needs. But as you're walking forward, shake your components and make sure that they're not loose or broken. That's very important. This is your rear foot peg that you can move up and down if you happen to have a passenger. This component right here is the rear master cylinder to your motorcycle. It should have fluid. The fluid level is very easy to see on it. It's clear. It should be the color of beer or something medium colored like that. If it's dark, that means it needs to be replaced, okay? As you walk forward, this is the front foot peg on your motorcycle here, and this is the rear brake. The rear brake obviously is important for you to know where that is to stop your motorcycle. This particular motorcycle has a carburetor on it. Newer motorcycles now have fuel injection. They really don't need much maintenance at all. You turn the key on and go. This particular motorcycle has a carburetor. It has an automatic choke on it. You don't have to worry about choking it when you start it on a cold morning. As we walk forward, this is the gas tank of the motorcycle inside this plastic shell. Obviously, you need to check your gas once a day. This particular motorcycle does not have a fuel gauge on it, so you have to check your fuel level by the mileage. When you go to put your gas in at the gas station, check your trip meter and know how many miles you've ridden when you go to fill your bike up, and that way it will be easy for you to fill it up next time. Walking forward on the motorcycle, this is the front caliper of the motorcycle where the brake components are. This is the rotor. You'll notice on the motorcycle that the front rotor is a lot bigger than the rear rotor on the rear. We like to say that the front rotor is the size of a dinner plate and the rear rotor is the size of a dessert plate. The reason we make that important for you is because most of the braking on a motorcycle is done by the front end. Okay, once again, check your tires as you go through. They shouldn't have any cracks or splits in them. No nails or screws stuck in the side. That's a dangerous situation. Also, check your fork stems. This is your fork for the front end. This is your suspension component. Check and see if it's leaking here. Just run your finger around there, see if there's any fluid on it. Walking to the other side of the motorcycle, check the other fork leg as we just spoke about, and walk forward on the motorcycle. Look and see if there's any leaks. This particular motorcycle has been polished a little bit down here. That's what that fluid is here. This is your clutch cable. Make sure it's not loose or chafed as it comes into the side of the engine here. This is your shift lever. It's important to know where that is when we go to shift the motorcycle. Walking forward, this is where your clutch is on the motorcycle. This area here normally gets pretty hot, so be careful when you're laying your foot up against the side of the engine. This is your kickstand. it's important to know that where the kickstand is. Sometimes they're hard to find. This particular motorcycle has a switch built into it. If you try to put it in first gear and ride off with the kickstand down, the engine dies. That's a safety component for this entry style motorcycle that won't let you ride the motorcycle down the road with the kickstand down. Once again, as you're checking your motorcycle, make sure that kickstand moves freely, it's not broken or split, and the spring is still on it. That's important to check. Like we've already mentioned, this is the rear brake component here. This is the rear rotor. Notice the size different from the one before. It's much smaller, which indicates that not nearly as much braking goes on with the rear. Again, check your tire. One of the last things you should check about the mechanics on the motorcycle is just push down on the back and make sure you don't hear any noise or clanking from the rear shock absorber. Occasionally those shock absorber bolts come loose. You should check those once a month or so. There's no more important thing than you can do for your motorcycle is to wash it now and then. As you're washing your motorcycle, I mean, all of us like a clean motorcycle, but as you're washing it and you're putting the rag on the bike and drying it off, that's a good chance for you to find the parts of the motorcycle that are broken or missing. Okay, let's take a look at where the actual working components of the shift lever and things like that are. What I'm going to do is turn the key to the on position here. And on motorcycles, the key position is important to know where the key is to turn the ignition on, because on motorcycles, they're in different locations on the bike. Some of them are down here on the tank, some of them are here on the left. So it's important to know where the key is to turn the motorcycle on. This is your high-low beam indicator, which will switches the headlight from high to low beam. It's important to know where that is. This is the turn signal indicator here. This particular motorcycle has the turn signals removed because we took them off due to training accidents. This is your horn on the left side here. And most motorcycles, after a certain year, the federal government mandated that all the controls be in a certain location on the motorcycle. That's your horn. Working your way over to the right side of the motorcycle, this is the master cylinder for the front brake. It has a window in the front. Once again, you check that window to make sure that fluid is in there. Should be that same beer color as we talked about before. This is your on-off switch. It's important to know where that on-off switch is, as that is where if you have to kill the motorcycle very quickly, that you can reach right down here and just kill that switch very quickly and not have to reach up with your other hand and turn the key off. This yellow button here is the starter button. That's what starts the motorcycle, and we'll talk about that here in a couple minutes. Once again, this motorcycle has a switch in the clutch that will not allow the motorcycle to start unless the clutch is depressed. And a lot of newer motorcycles have that same feature. This is the front brake, and we will show you later on how to effectively use that front brake in a controlled stopping environment. Now that we've learned where all the components of the motorcycle are, we're actually going to move on to starting the motorcycle.